Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Euzoia, the weekly podcast for living a good life. And Christoph, I know you've been deep in the research. How do we get the most out of our money?
Sure. So, for a good life, money is necessary, but I think we're often spending it not on the right things to actually make us happier. You might have heard of the hedonic treadmill or like some kind of a lifestyle creep where you just keep like spending more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger houses, but like somehow you don't get happier. And at the same time, we have like these famous billionaires, I don't know, Warren Buffett living in the same house for like all his life. The founder of IKEA, I think famously like drove this old beat up Volvo all his life. While looking into this, I learned that Mark Zuckerberg had his wedding reception in his backyard while serving like local food from his local Mexican grill. But like somehow these people, and probably like Warren Buffett seems like a happy guy, no? Like so somehow they, even though they have a lot of money, don't spend it on the things you'd usually expect, right? So what actually can you do? Right? I think the first thing is to review your big three, and that like on average, most Americans, and I think this also translates to other countries, spend 60% of their money on just three categories, and that's housing, food, and transportation. And housing, of course, being the biggest one of those. And that's also like, if you think of like, can I find some money somewhere? Look there. Don't try to optimize like, I don't know, like how much you spend on your Netflix subscription. By all means, if you have like 1,000 subscriptions, maybe you should also look at that, right? But probably still you're going to spend more money on your rent than you spend on subscriptions. And the thing to optimize there is for housing, one hack is to just live with roommates. Like I lived like alone way too long. I think it's like just, I don't know, like there are some benefits to this, but they definitely don't outweigh just living with other people and like the free social life that comes with it. You might also think of like geo arbitrage. Maybe the place where you live right now is not actually necessary or the location. On transport, I think, most people don't need a fancy car, but like a shitty car gets you to where you need to go just as easily. So this should probably be the last thing that you need to spend money on. If you don't have a car, maybe think about like how much money you spend on Uber, where you could use public transport instead. For me, definitely a big thing is travel costs. Like I had this habit for a long time to just book flights last minute, like 2 days before I had to go, or train tickets or all these things. Then at some point I started planning ahead, and that not only saved me a whole lot of money, but also just gave me this peace of mind. It's like, oh, all of this is like solved. I don't have to stress about like planning all my travels later. Yeah, and then finally food. There also, again, like it's easy to get into the habit of just eating out all the time, to ordering in all the time. And even though like the first time you do that, it tastes really good and it like gives you this like pleasure win, it diminishes very fast. And you're just back to if you would have just bulk cooked your meals in advance. So just reviewing those three things, housing, transportation, and food, can already get you pretty far when it comes to where you spend your money and if it's really worthwhile.
Yeah, I noticed ever since I got a bike, my transport costs have gone down dramatically. And another one, I think, with the, I guess, housing thing, I feel like a lot of people do allow this lifestyle creep or even kind of like just keeping up with the Joneses type of thing,
Yeah.
where often it doesn't like materially make a big difference in your life. And it's a relatively similar experience.
Yeah, I remember living like as a student in the student housing thing. Like I was sharing it with 4 people and I was having this thought, it's like, why do people actually need more money? Like this is a perfectly good life. I'm like super happy here. Like why optimize for like a much bigger house? And I guess the one thing that changed in my life is that now I live in a more expensive city, and that's like hard
Yeah.
to just switch, right? But even there's like very expensive houses, or again, like living with roommates, with partner, and so on. Yeah. So that's how you can save money. Now, the question is, of course, like where should you actually spend money if you want to be happier, want to have a better life? And there's like tons of research on this, on like how can you actually get around the hedonic treadmill? Like where does your money actually still buy you happiness? And the surprising thing with most evidence to me is like charitable donations and gifts. Like that seems to consistently give you the most kind of bang for your buck in terms of happiness. And I think there the idea is like you can kind of go two different directions. One is like this in the moment happiness from maybe giving a gift to a friend or donating to a local charity or like something that's like very visual. And then the other part is like more the content, not feeling guilt, just feeling good about like your life decisions kind of happiness. And that would then correspond to maybe gifts to more like impactful charities, things where you can like be super sure that what you're actually doing like moves the needle and improves people's lives. Then the next thing that you can do to buy yourself some happiness is to buy yourself time. Like a lot of us, especially in our like 30s, 40s, money isn't the problem, time is, right? And then still some people don't always make the right trades, right? Like one way of thinking about this is like, if you could work an extra hour now, how much would I have to pay you so you work an extra hour? If you could stand in line for an hour and do exactly nothing, like how much money would I have to give you to stand in line and do exactly nothing? And in most of those cases, it's, for example, higher than the rate of paying a cleaner to clean your house. Or like other ways to trade time for money would be maybe actually ordering food instead of cooking it yourself. So then we're back to that initial thing. But yeah, again, like on transport, like there's, if you really start to look at it or maybe brainstorm with AI given your specific life, right? It's like there's lots of opportunities where you can kind of buy yourself time. Yeah. I have this one friend who he's like probably the wealthiest of all my friends. And he, to this day, when he wants to fly somewhere, is like obsessing for hours over finding the cheapest flight and then like taking these flights that take like 10 hours longer to like save you 100 euros. And it's that's a great opportunity to buy yourself some time with money.
Yeah.
And then the last,
Totally.
sorry.
I was just gonna say on that note, it's like I think it's less like you should save your time. It's more like a behavior change where people are just so
Right.
used to their current way of living, and they just have to like adapt to a new circumstance or do a behavior change that they just have done 100 times before.
Right.
So maybe it's worth doing like a little audit with AI and reflecting a bit actually.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one for like what actually buys you happiness, and that's of course a little plug for ourselves here, is anything that we cover in this podcast and blog, right? Like we try to focus on things that you can actually do to live a better life. Right? Examples for this is, of course, like a gym membership is going to make you more fit. Is like definitely well invested money, right? Like investing money in your nutrition is going to keep you healthy. It's probably worth it to like buy some veggies instead of like going to McDonald's, right? Investing money in an air purifier to like actually have breathable air around you, like all that stuff. In the future, I think we're going to cover much more investing money in your friendships, experiences, and all things that have been shown to make you happier reliably. But yeah, to find out about that, you have to subscribe to our channel or our Substack at euzoia.org. All right, then the last thing is, so we focused on how can you save money? Where should you put your money? And then maybe one last thing is like simple rules to think about how you should in general like work with your money. Like one is just automate almost anything, right? Like money is the nice thing there. You don't have to learn new habits because you can just put in rules and the rules are being executed because it's digital money. One thing that works there is budgeting. And the cleanest way or the easiest way of doing this is just have like separate accounts for separate stuff, right? And then when your money comes in on the first, you have like an automatic transfer that puts some money of this into your spending bucket, some money in like all the bills are being paid from this, and some money into your savings and whatever else there is. And that way you can be sure, can kind of spend guilt-free because you're spending from what has been budgeted for spending. Your bills are going to get paid. If you want to kind of go more advanced on this, there's this you need a budget app and movement, and I have some friends who like love it, and it basically took away their financial anxiety. For me, it was always a bit too much work. But it's the same idea, right? Like money comes in and you kind of assign it to buckets. Another one is just wait before you spend your money. Yeah, when I get super excited about stuff, and then like 3 days later, I'm like, why did I order this again? It's like a random like waffle toaster or something. I definitely need this waffle toaster. And then half an hour later to 3 days later, you're like, no, maybe that's not necessary, right? And why is this happening? Kaiserwind, right? It's been made to make you want stuff. So it looks amazing. It triggers you in all the right ways that you want to like hit that buy button. So the way to get around this is just wait for the dopamine to ebb and then maybe use your thinking brain to be like, do I actually need that? That's been helping me a lot, at least in my spending choices. And yeah, to already think ahead and budget for the bigger expenses, right? Like maybe you want to start a startup at some point and you probably need some runway for this. So like already plan for it. Maybe your children's education, your own retirement, like just when you do your budgeting, have buckets for that as well. So you don't eat away from your optionality, from your dreams, from like the bigger plans in life.
Amazing. Yeah, actually, it made me think there should be an app for when you're buying something that somehow like locks you out and is like, wait, like, are you sure you want this? It's like same for social media. I feel like that could prevent a lot of wayward purchases.
I feel like you could build this into a banking app. No, it's just like auto reject
Yeah,
any purchases unless it's been pre-approved 3 days
yeah,
earlier or something like this. And there's definitely a market there. Yeah, that would be fun.
amazing. Any more on how to
No,
spend your money?
I think that's it. If you follow all those rules, you'll be happier and richer, and everything is going to be amazing. And if you want to get even more rich, we'll do a few more episodes on this. I think the next one is going to be like protecting yourself from risks, like insurances and stuff. Then one on growing your wealth. You put that bucket in the savings bucket, but then what happens then, right? So like how to grow it in the best way. And then probably one episode on if you should buy a house or not, just because it's probably the biggest financial decision most of us will do in our lives. And it makes sense to think about that a little bit and not just follow the herd.
Great, amazing. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll be back next week with more money.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.